Forbidden Door is one of the coolest concepts created in the last 5 years by any wrestling company. AEW created the show in conjunction with New Japan Pro Wrestling in 2022, in which both companies would come together and have matches featuring talent from both promotions. Of course, the idea isn't a brand new one, not even for New Japan, but it's certainly been the most successful one, especially on this scale and by a major North American wrestling promotion. It's led to many people fantasy booking what a Forbidden Door show between AEW and WWE would look like. Hell, even this channel has been down this road before, but we let ChatGPT figure that one. And in honor of AEW's Forbidden Door taking place this Sunday in London, we are going to revisit this concept. Pardon the wrestling, but I am Bryan, and today we will be fantasy booking a theoretical 2025 Forbidden Door show between AEW and WWE. As noted, last time we did this video back in 2023, we asked ChatGPT to make up this hypothetical card. As you can see on screen, this is what that card looked like at the time, and honestly, it didn't do a terrible job. So much so that one of the matches I love the idea of so much, I'm going to be using it again for the 2025 version created entirely by me. Some quick housekeeping before we get into this. Wrestlers have to be currently active and not retired. We will be allowed to use those on hiatus or currently out for injury, and we will not have any titles on the line. But without further ado, let's book the 2025 Forbidden Door between WWE and AEW. We would have to start the show with our party match with a triple threat tag team match featuring the Young Bucks versus Fraxium versus a reunited Penta and Rey Fenix. I think Fraxium versus the Bucks alone would be a hell of a dream match that we will likely never get to see, but I think adding the Lucha Bros into this match will make this match even more bonkers. We've seen what the Lucha Bros and the Young Bucks can do against each other, so revisiting that along with the unique element of Nathan Frazier and Axiom would be an absolute treat. Trying to describe this match move for move would certainly be a monumental task, but I think whoever came out on top, the true winners would be everyone watching, because what these three teams together could do would be nothing short of magical. Bucks would drop the BTE trigger on Rey Fenix for the win in the opening contest here. Next up would be two former world champions taking on each other in Io Sky and Jamie Hayter. I don't think it's hyperbole calling Io Sky not only the best wrestler in the entire WWE right now, but she may be the best women's wrestler in the entire world. Hayter unfortunately has been marred with injuries the last couple years, but she's as recent as this year had some incredible matches with the likes of Mercedes Moné and Alex Windsor. Hayter's also no stranger to Joshi's in the ring and would pair incredibly well with Io Sky in my opinion. Full transparency, these two are my favorite women's wrestlers in WWE and AEW respectively, so I would personally love to see these two go at it. With the momentum Io Sky currently has in the world of pro wrestling, I'd book the Genius of the Sky as the winner in this match against Jamie Hayter. Randy Orton and Swerve Strickland would meet one-on-one for the first time in history in our next matchup. But I do have to be honest here, I am not in love with this matchup, and this was kind of a process of elimination matchup here, just because I think a show like this needs to feature two of each company's biggest stars in Swerve Strickland and Randy Orton. However, I do think these styles would produce an interesting matchup. I think a good false finish here would be Swerve going for the house call and Orton popping him up into an RKO, similar to what we saw at WrestleMania a few years ago between Seth Rollins and Randy Orton. However, I do think this is a match that needs Swerve to go over. Post-match, I do love the idea, however, of Nana trying to break Orton with his antics and seeing Orton try to do the Swerve dance to Nana before hitting him with an RKO out of nowhere. This would send everyone home happy regarding this match in my eyes. Kevin Owens and Eddie Kingston have crossed paths a couple times a long time ago, so fortunately a match between these two exists. Of course, both men are currently out on injury, and to be fair, we may never even get to see Kevin Owens wrestle again. However, as it stands, he is still an active wrestler out on injury, and Eddie is also in the same spot, albeit for a different reason. However, I think the program these two could sell leading into this match would be an absolutely epic at this point in their careers. This match would need to be no DQ to really get the best out of what these two can do in and outside of the ring. Both have had their fair share of bloodbaths, and this one should be no different. I'm going to give Kevin Owens the win in this match, but they would give each other their respects to each other after a hard-fought battle. Honestly, I think both companies working together could offer some absolutely insane tag team matches. You could probably do a Forbidden Door just based on that concept alone between these two companies. Between this one and the opening triple threat tag, you could trade teams across these two matches and have fantastic matches in the end. This match would feature one of AEW's newest tag teams in Jet Speed, featuring Speedball Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight, versus one of the greatest tag teams of all time, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley, the Motor City Machine Guns. While this match would probably be far crazier if the Guns were about 5 years younger, I would have no doubt these four men could deliver an amazing 15 minutes of in-ring, high-flying action to please this crossover crowd. The Machine Guns would take the win here, but like Eddie and Kevin, this would feature some mutual respect in the end between one of the tag team greats to a potential future tag team great. We were actually pretty close to getting Toni Storm and Stephanie Vaquer in the same ring a year ago. Stephanie was at last year's Forbidden Door in a losing effort against Mercedes Moné in what is considered to be one of the best matches on that show. It was such an amazing performance from Stephanie that it got WWE's attention, and she was NXT bound not much long after that. I don't see this being a match we'll ever get either, as all signs point to Stephanie being in the company she's always wanted to be in, not to mention she's on the fast track to being one of the cornerstones of the women's division in WWE for years to come. And we also have Toni Storm, who has found her niche within AEW and is not only its biggest woman star, but one of the company's biggest overall stars. Not much needs to be said about how great of a match these two could have. These two have never been able to face each other in the ring before, and as noted, we probably won't ever get to see it, but one thing is for certain is that Forbidden Door will forever be timeless, as Toni would take this one. The women are extremely well represented on this card, and there's a lot of great potential matchups, including Chris Statlander and Rhea Ripley. My initial card I had Toni vs. Rhea, but I changed that for a couple reasons. For one, we've seen Toni and Rhea wrestle each other several times before when they were both in WWE, and Statlander vs. Rhea just makes way too much sense. Of all the matches on this card, I think the styles between these two would be among the best. It would be an absolute slugfest, and I think they would bring out the absolute best in each other. This would be a first time ever matchup between the two, and would certainly be one worth going out of your way to watch. Rhea has been one of the most dominant wrestlers in recent history, and it would be no different here, as she would take the win over Stat. In the 0.00001% chance of this show ever happening, I'm not sure if CM Punk would be even allowed on it, but if we did somehow get these two companies directly working together, nothing would be off the table, I guess. That being said, you could argue there are some better matchups for Punk individually, but at this point in his career, I think having him in a trios match would be for the best. He'd reunite CM FTR with Dax and Cash to take on a reunited bloodline with the Usos and Sami Zayn standing across from them. Admittedly, I think this match would probably rate on the lower end in comparison to the rest of the show, but I wanted to get everybody in this match on the show, and I think this would be a good, easy way to do it. I'd have Punk and FTR take the win here, with them playing the clear heels. Next would be a tag team match between 4 of the 5 Bullet Club leaders, as AEW's Kenny Omega and Jay White would team up against WWE's AJ Styles and Finn Balor. It's honestly surprising we've had limited interactions between AJ and Finn in WWE, but I would certainly love them to team up for an extended period of time. And yes, going back to the last match, I think getting that long-awaited Kenny Omega vs. CM Punk match would be fun, but I absolutely love the story you could tell between 4 of the leaders of Bullet Club teaming up against each other. Doesn't hurt that all 4 of these guys are absolutely phenomenal in the ring. Of course, I think we would need the Bang Bang Gang and Judgment Day shenanigans ringside, and with that, I think this would be a less straightforward tag team match than, say, the Jet Speed Motor City Machine Guns match from earlier, but there would be some great story beats that could be told between these 4 sharing a ring together. If I had the pencil for this night, Kenny would drop the One-Winged Angel on Finn Balor for the pin and get the W for Team AEW. I think we all want to see Seth Rollins vs. Will Ospreay, but what Seth is going to be doing later in the show, it's something I wasn't able to do for the last Forbidden Door card, so we're going to get the aerial assassin this time taking on the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Cody was a tough one to match up against anyone, considering he has faced a decent amount of AEW's roster already, and the ones I could have matched him up against, I wanted elsewhere. These two did cross paths several times when Cody was in Ring of Honor in New Japan, but that was quite a while ago when Cody was still finding himself in pro wrestling and Will Ospreay was slowly becoming who he is today. We've seen Cody break out some fantastic performances over the last few years, and seeing a 2025 Cody Rhodes versus a 2025 Will Ospreay would probably be pretty damn good. I don't think it would be the best match on the card per se, as I think Will would have to slow down a little bit for Cody, but no one would be disappointed. Cody has been unbeatable in the last few years, so he's going to get the slight nod from me in this fantasy matchup. The current AEW World Champion Hangman Adam Page and Drew McIntyre is the matchup for my last Forbidden Door fantasy card that makes a repeat appearance. It was the one time that AI did a great job in booking that card. Now these two have never crossed paths before, but like Statlander and Rhea, these two would match up incredibly well. I don't think these two would need a Texas Death Match, but as we've seen both of these two do in special matches, they turn it up to 11, so I think pitting them in this type of matchup would just be the right move. They would beat the absolute piss out of each other and would probably leave pieces of each other in the ring. It would take a buckshot or two and perhaps a deadeye, but the current All Elite Wrestling World Champion would walk away victorious against the Scottish Warrior. We really have missed out on a chance to see all three members of the Shield square off against each other in one match. So the first of our three main events would be Jon Moxley versus Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns. This would be an absolutely overbooked mess with the Death Riders, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, and the Usos being involved, and this would be a match I would absolutely excuse it for. Booking the winner here would probably be the hardest thing to do, but I think the real life momentum is going to influence my decision here, as I think the current World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins sneaks out with a victory over his former mates. I think it's at least the most satisfying answer. Speaking of absolutely missed opportunities, it is a four-way match between the four horsewomen of WWE. Had Mercedes not left WWE, I think Paul Levesque absolutely would have made this happen at a recent WrestleMania, but it is hard seeing Mercedes leave AEW, and I'm not entirely ruling out Bayley joining her there when her contract is up, so the likelihood of us ever getting this is drastically dropping as time goes on. I think we were probably a few years past when this match would have been incredible, but I think the story beats of this match would more than make up for it. If we had a WWE and AEW Forbidden Door, this feels like the biggest match they could possibly do on the women's side, just considering these four women's place in history, and of course their history with one another. Like the Shield match, booking the winner here may be difficult too, but I think it would have to go to a current heel, and I think that current heel should be Mercedes. But it would involve Bayley also turning heel here on Charlotte to make that happen. In this fantasy storyline, Bayley is on her way out of WWE and on her way to join Mercedes in AEW. I cannot explain how badly I want to see the build to an MJF and John Cena match. Of all the matches on this card, I think this would probably produce the best television leading into it. Cena is missing far more than he's hitting at this point in his career, but as we saw at SummerSlam against Cody Rhodes, John Cena can turn back the clock for a night when the moment calls for it. The closest we have ever gotten between MJF and Cena crossing paths together was at the red carpet for the Iron Claw when the two got to meet and take a photo together. I love the idea of MJF getting to brag about beating the "you can't see me" man, but this show needs to end on a great note. And as someone who is just months away from retirement, seeing John Cena standing tall to end the show is just the right move against MJF. And that will do it for the 2025 Forbidden Door card between WWE and AEW. Which matches were your favorite? And which ones did you absolutely hate? Let us know in the comments below. And also, what are some of the matches you would book if you had the pencil for a WWE and AEW Forbidden Door show? If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, as that is the easiest way for fellow wrestling fans like you to find this video. And if you like what we're doing here, consider subscribing, as that is the easiest way to show your support for this channel. Pardon the wrestling, but I'm Bryan. Thanks for watching.